Another day, another GPU. Good boy. Hi guys, Matthew here and welcome back again to my channel. After checking out my first aftermarket Navi graphics card model, and actually my first Navi graphics card at all, that being MSI's RX 5700 XT Gaming X model, feel free to check it out, I will put the link in the right top corner of this video. Next in line for me was Gigabyte's RX 5700 XT Gaming OC model. Being a part of WindForce Cooler series, the design language is pretty much the same compared to some of the current gen cards which they have in offering, like for example their RTX series, few of which I've tested, and feel free to check one out at the link in the right corner of this video. The top shroud is color neutral, it will fit in almost any build theme wise, it's of an okay build quality, mostly plastic, which doesn't give you that premium feel, while you can spice things up a bit with the RGB LED Gigabyte logo which they've put on the side. It's not much, but it's something. Turning it onto its other side, you'll find a big metal backplate with a pretty simple and straightforward blacked out design theme, and which actually surpasses the length of the card's PCB. In that back corner you'll find two PCI Express power connectors, and here Gigabyte decided to go with a reference setup for them, so this card gets a one 6-pin and one 8-pin PCI Express power connector. Since I'm already talking about power, with Gigabyte's card in the system, the idle power draw for the total system was about 5 watts more compared to the MSI's one, but it did pull overall less under full load of only the GPU, around 240 and 245 watts on top of the idle power draw of the card. On the opposite end of the power connectors you'll find your usual video output array consisting out of 3 display ports and 1 HDMI. Underneath that shroud you'll find one of Gigabyte's classic WindForce Cooler design, before all dominated by a big heatsink separated in 3 parts and connected with copper heat pipes, while this time the fin stacks are a little bit differently distributed compared to what I saw on Nvidia's cards. The middle stack carries the GPU contact plate, which is designed in a way that 5 copper heat pipes are in direct contact with the GPU, while around it there's an additional metal plate with thermal pads for taking the heat off the video memory. The largest back fin stack carries another cold plate for cooling off the VRMs and power delivery system. All of this is topped off with 3 80mm fans with unique blade design, and what's also interesting and seen across all of their ongoing graphics cards based on this updated design is that the middle fan turns in the opposite direction of the other two, which gives the whole cooling solution additional air pressure and suppresses turbulent airflow. And this is probably why you are here, looking for a cool and quiet Navi card, since the reference design for this series doesn't offer much in that regards. You'll be happy to hear that Gigabyte's RX 5700 XT Gaming OC model delivers in this field. The GPU temperature is anywhere between 60 and 65 degrees Celsius, which is way below what you would see with the reference cooler design, and even better than MSI's Gaming X model. On the other hand, strangely, the GPU hotspot junction temperature does roam around 100 degrees Celsius, which is still much lower compared to the reference model, but fairly higher than MSI's Gaming X model, so that's a pretty interesting observation. Since the fans don't spin if the GPU temperature is under a certain level, or to say when the card is not under substantial load, the idle GPU temperature is a bit higher than usual, just above 50 degrees Celsius, but this can go up and down depending on your chassis fan setup. As for the noise that the fans make, since it has 3 smaller ones, they do have to spin faster to provide a higher airflow and pressure, which translates into a bit higher noise floor. They were mostly spinning above 2000 RPM, usually around 2300 and 2400, which is, you guessed it, not that quiet, although still better than the reference model. When it comes to that, I'm sort of a noise freak, so I decided to do a little bit of an undervolting and tweaking for this GPU, since I wasn't too pleased about this noise level. Just a quick side note, I have ended up using MSI's Afterburner for my overclocking, undervolting and general control of the card, since Gigabyte's Aorus engine software utility didn't offer anything else besides the memory clock and power target, while the GPU clock was acting weirdly when I would use AMD's Wattman, which is why I went for MSI's Afterburner in the end. As you can see it here, I've pulled down the core voltage, power limit and GPU core clock, made a custom fan curve, which in the end resulted in fan speed being lowered by about 600 RPM, lower junction temperature and about the same GPU temperature, with basically minimal performance hit since the GPU core clock was roaming in the lower portion of 1900 MHz instead of the upper. I think I got a pretty good result in the end, especially since it took like 10 minutes of my time and you could probably still fine tune it more. I'm personally willing to lose a frame or two, possibly maybe none in this case if you bump up the memory speed and get a much quieter graphics card. Here's a short sound clip of the card under load in both the stock scenario and my manual fan curve and undervolt version, while also showing the sound meter for a measurement comparison. Before I get to benchmarking results, if you're planning to buy this card and have any questions and concerns about it, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below and I will help you out. Okay, let's now check out the performance of this card. Performance output of the RX 5700 XT series is basically the same across all of the offering, as the vendors don't have much room in terms of doing a substantial factory overclock, so they're all pretty much neck and neck, almost within a measurement error. Bottom line, it's ideal for 1440p gaming, possibly for high refresh rate monitors in some games within that resolution and lowered down graphical settings, while as you can see it here by looking at the benchmarking results, the 1080p resolution suits it even more in that regards. Again, when it comes to overclocking the card manually, as with any other Navi card, Gigabyte's RX 5700 XT gaming OC model didn't overclock much further than the stock clocks. I've pushed out everything to the max, as each item has its own limit, and surprisingly it was altogether completely stable. In particular, I'm here referring to the memory clock and its limit of 950 MHz, while the GPU core clock was boosting up by about 50 to 80 MHz more than in the case of the stock clocks, so the card ended up with around 5% performance gain together with that memory overclock. When you draw the line, Gigabyte overall did a pretty good job with this card. I just wish they maybe fine-tuned the fan curve a bit, possibly even the power delivery and GPU core voltage, so the fans can run at a bit lower speeds. It will for sure be among the popular choices out there, everything considered, and especially since it's just a bit more expensive than the reference model. That's it for this time from me. Thank you once again for watching. Toss me a thumbs up if you enjoyed my content, that really helps a lot. And if you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe, and if you already are, be sure to press that notification bell down below so you don't miss out on a new video. And until then, catch you later guys.